All right, it's another episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast. I am Josue Pavone. He is Cedric Maxwell. We got plenty of headlines involving Kevin Durant and the Boston Celtics. But first thing first, man, we got to pay homage to the great one, to the legend, the basketball legend, the Celtics legend, Mr. Basketball himself. That's Bill Russell, the 11th-time NBA champion. Just the face of this franchise, man. We've talked a lot about Bill Russell throughout this podcast. Maybe not the past year or so, but when we first started this thing, you had so much to say about him. And of course, the NBA now celebrating his legacy by retiring the number 6 for all 30 NBA teams. That's right. Of course, the players that do wear the number 6 right now are grandfathered in. But moving forward, there will not be any new players rocking that number. They will retire it. And I'm so happy that the NBA is doing this, man. I'm elated. I'm excited. I think it's obviously well-deserved. And it sends the right message, right? I mean, this is exactly what I wanted the NBA to do.
Yeah, it really does. I think it was a great opportunity for the league to do what they needed to do. When you start talking about he's won more championships than anybody else, you're talking about the Finals Award, the MVP, that's named after Bill Russell. People in Philly might have a little objection there because number 6 belonged to Julius the Dr. Irving.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, he's not playing anymore, Max.
Well, there's still people in there who say, that was the Doc's number. But, I do understand it. I appreciate it. The fact that, the thing that I have harped on many times right after Mr. Russell died was just the fact that we always give people their flowers after they pass away. Mm. And that's really sad. Because you look back on it, you go on Bill Russell, again, can't even argue the point. He was the greatest winner in sports, in our major sports right now. 11 championships. Tom Brady possibly getting 6 rings or wherever he's at, but Bill Russell at 11 and did it 8 times and did it on top of that, being a player coach.
8 in a row.
Which is surreal. Bill Russell, I remember, was a bunch of people that Havlicek and everybody else was around him. But all of a sudden, Red Auerbach stepped down and everybody was like, well, who's going to replace Red? And Red said, well, Bill Russell. Bill Russell said, yeah, I can replace Red. And Red talked him into it reluctantly and won the championship. You can see many times him walking off the floor and then going right to the head of the bench and talking as a coach. That to me just had to be unbelievable when you think about the pressure that was on him. Made me so proud as being just a Black man. And the fact of his stance, the stances he took, who he was as a person. And we could talk about his basketball accolades all we want to, but he was a better person than he was a basketball player. And that's hard to say, considering he's probably one of the greatest players of all time to ever to step on the floor in the NBA.
No question. And I love how he's stuck around, right? He was there to mentor guys. He was always around the game. You think about everything he went through living in Boston and the racism that he felt, or he went through, I should say, but he didn't let that, overshadow what he thought was important in terms of sharing his story, sharing his legacy, staying around the game, mentoring guys. I mean, I can't forget about the conversation he had with Kevin Garnett before he was a champion, right? Talking about, he envisioned him seeing, he saw Garnett being able to win 1 or 2 championships in Boston. And obviously they did win 1, but for him to say that before it happened, it was like set in stone. And it meant so much because it came from Bill Russell, and I just think that's something that you don't see a whole lot of in other leagues, right? Someone like that who sticks around, who people who they revere, and he has such a unique story, such a unique background that's obviously resonates with this generation and the ones prior to that. It's a continued legacy, and I love that the NBA is doing this because that way it lives on forever. And obviously it should. That's a given.
Let's not go that far. He also had another thing, a deviant side in it, which I've caught many times. Whenever I would see Mr. Russell, I give him this big
smile. You mean when
he would look at me, and the first thing he would do, he'd give me the finger. He would always give me the finger and just cackle. It wasn't a laugh, it was a cackle. And I'd ask him, I'm like, why are you doing that? And his reaction was always the same thing. He'd give me another finger. And if he liked you, if Bill Russell liked you, he gave you the finger. If he shook your hand, that probably means he didn't like you. And you think about who he was. And I know people say, well, Cedric Maxwell, a legend with the Boston Celtics. I'd like for you to speak about another legend with the Boston Celtics. And that was Bill Russell. And I said, let me make sure I say this so everybody understands it. Bill Russell is a legend. I'm just a guy who played there with the Celtics. Played well, obviously, but played with the Celtics. Bill Russell was there on the front lines, man. 8 championships in a row, player coach, first black coach in the NBA. Right. I'm maybe the first black coach in North America in the major sports. And even, here's another thing. He was on the line. When Martin Luther King gave his famous speech, I Have a Dream, Bill Russell was sitting on the front row. He was on the front row. He was there with Muhammad Ali. There's a famous picture of Muhammad Ali, Russell, Chamberlain. They had all the greats that were there at that time. Jim Brown, and they were all talking about social issues. And that to me is that's putting it out there, considering, I think, and I'm not talking kicking at Michael Jordan, but that's just who he wasn't that person. And for the most part, during my era, during the 80s, I don't think any of our players were like that. But then you look at the players now, it's almost their kickback to Bill Russell when you think about LeBron, what he's doing. You think about Jaylen Brown, what he's doing. You think about how players have stood up and used their platform in a way that was going to affect other people instead of just saying, I'm a basketball player. Like Charles Barkley, which I'm just a basketball player. So
or shut up and dribble, I think someone said.
I love that. I love the fact that, shut up and dribble, that was such an insult to anybody who's ever played the game, considering the guys now, what they're doing. LeBron James, shut up and dribble, when you think about what he's done and how he's affected his community. If we could all affect our community in just a inch of the way LeBron James has affected his community, man, we'd be so much better off for it, because he is not only using his money and his platform to really showcase what he believes, but he's also educating kids. And what's the thing they say about with the black colleges? A mind is a terrible thing to waste. LeBron James puts his money where his mouth is.
Yeah, I mean, the I Promise School, the way he's giving back, the way he speaks up on the current events and what's going on, political issues. Yeah, no question. I mean, that's a great point, Max. You look back to players of the 80s and 90s. I mean, obviously there's the Michael Jordan quote that conservatives buy sneakers too, and that was something that stuck with him for a long time. But I think it is relevant when you think about guys of that era, guys who were just sticking to basketball, not necessarily speaking out on things that were going on throughout the country, throughout the U.S. Yeah.
I happened to be in that era, and that's what we were. We were very conservative when it came to race relations and issues and how things were formed in the NBA. And now it's a whole nother era with the LeBrons of the world, the Brogdons of the world. These guys are taking a political stand. Even the league, this is the biggest thing. We talk about the league would have never taken a stance when it came to Black Lives Matter. The league wouldn't have done that. And then all of a sudden, the league has all the pressure from its players, and they respond by saying, look, Black Lives Matter. They put it on the floor. When they played a game, they had it on T-shirts. So the league and the players are in a whole nother level of relationships with their communities that we, unfortunately, we weren't there as players.
Yeah, I think it's it's in a good way. And people like to look at highlight the bad things about quote unquote player empowerment in the NBA, but there's a lot of good in there. There's a lot of positive influence out there for an entire younger generation that they can follow and lead and spreading a lot of the positivity, getting into those conversations, bringing it to the forefront, having those awkward conversations, which we talked about a couple of years ago during 2020, when everyone was forced to do it because of the pandemic and because of the downtime and because it was out there, because of what the injustices that were going on across the U.S., and who was out there too, doing the same thing, hopping on social media and taking a knee? Bill Russell, right? Like that was the he set the standard. It feels like, right? And for now, this younger generation to sort of pick up that that baton that he's carrying, but he continued to carry it until the end, and it's just truly remarkable.
You think and you say that, and I think it's so true, and I hope everybody understands this, that when you look back, and let's look back to a recent time in our lives, Rodney King, that happened during our lifetime, to seeing this black man get beat down by the police.
On camera.
What was the response of athletes around that? Was there a concerted effort by athletes at that time to come together and talk about it or to highlight this? I don't remember it, during my time. I don't remember that at all. But if that happened today, like the George Floyd, athletes are standing up and protesting. I mean, you think about when George Floyd happened and there was a verdict going out there, the players wanted to sit out. They wanted to sit out a game and protest that way. And I think they were talked into another direction, but that was one of their responses. And it's happened throughout sports right now when we start thinking about athletes, and that all stems from people like Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, those guys. Even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was in the midst of this, during the 60s when a lot of this stuff had happened. Talk about Bill Russell, talk about Will Chamberlain, how great they were as competitors. Here's the crazy thing. You think I'd have, if I was playing today, you think I'd have LeBron James over my house to eat? And then my mom said you could sleep in my bed afterwards and take a nap. Hell no. But the
You're like, Mom, what's this guy doing here?
Yeah, but the players had to do that at that time because of the circumstances of segregation. Bill Russell talked about it in many ways of saying, look, Will Chamberlain I went to Wilt's house. And I ate food in his mom at his mom's house. She cooked for us. And then she allowed me to go take a nap in Wilt's bed. I mean, that is just because of segregation and what those guys, that was a band of brothers when I think about it and what they had to do. And there was another named Sam Jones. Sam Jones told me a great story, how he was in Fort Wayne at the lunch counter. He was Max, I was always the fastest one. So I got my food and I got my tray and I walked up to the front of the line and I was going to and the cashier looked at me. She said, sir, we don't serve colors. And that was
terrible.
You think about that as just how that was as a player. You could play for white folks at the time, but you couldn't go eat where they ate. You had to.
I can't imagine, man.
You had to find another area, another place. And if you guys really want to think about it, and I hope you subscribe to this because you're going to make us stronger, but go back and look at the Green Book. It was a movie which was recently, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I think it might have won an Academy Award, but they were talking about that the injustices that were served during the 60s. The Green Book represented it was actually a green book which had places that, let me get this word right, that colors could go eat throughout the South, throughout the North. And that was a book. They would go to these different places and finally got down to North Carolina. He was a great pianist. He couldn't eat at a guy's home. He couldn't use the bathroom, at a gentleman's home that he was actually playing for his friends and his family in his house. And he said, I need to use the bathroom. The guy pointed and said, there's an outhouse out there. That's where you go. And he said, wait a minute, I'm playing for you. Here's the bathroom right here. And the guy said, well, you can't use my bathroom. You have to go back all the way. He said, well, I have to go back to my hotel, and that's going to take 20 minutes. He said, well, I think we got time here for you to be back on time. And so you can't even imagine just, how that is so devastating. My father was involved in that during the 60s. We came back through Waycross, Georgia. And my brother and I happened to go in the bathroom. Nobody saw us. My mother and my sister were following us. And the gentleman told my mother and my sister, baby sister, no, you don't go to this bathroom. Your bathroom is out in the grease pits. My father had just got back from Vietnam where he was wounded. He said, and my father was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? I just fought for this country. I almost died for this country.
I put my life on the line.
And I can't go to the bathroom? I can't go to the bathroom. If you are listening to this and it registers in your mind, I'd love for you to just think of that you fought for this country. You almost died for this country, but you could not go to the men's room. Your family was not supposed to go to the men's room. They had to go out in the grease pit. So the injustices that was during that time, and I think that's the thing between you and I, which is really different, that we live in a different society now. A lot of things haven't changed, but a lot of things that have. And the fact that you know nothing about that. Josue knows nothing about, colored, water fountains.
Colored bathrooms.
Doctor's rooms, or getting on the bus and, color area, colors here.
They split the beach, right? If I'm not mistaken, you told me that they would split the beach.
At the beach in South Carolina, there was something called Atlantic Beach, that you would go to the beach and literally they had a chain link fence in the middle of the beach, which ran
the
out.
Ocean. The ocean must be for everybody, right?
Went out about 2 football fields long. Why was it there? And as a little boy, I tried to think of that, but thinking back on it now, it was so Black people couldn't get in white water. Couldn't get in white water.
In the ocean, Max. This isn't the pool.
Yes,
this is the fucking ocean we're talking about, right?
This was the ocean at Myrtle Beach. So, I know we're off on a tirade, but that's the life, and that was the era of Bill Russell. And you think about it, how could you win so many championships? Even at the Boston Garden, they talked about it, how the Celtics were winning championships and couldn't sell out, and the Bruins could. What was the reason? Because people were not respecting Black players at that time. It's very, very simple, very clear.
Unbelievable. And shout out to Red Auerbach for not obviously making the move, but putting out the first starting 5 of all Black starting 5 lineup. And I'm sure a lot of those fans didn't appreciate that.
Bill Russell, and you talk about Red Auerbach. Red Auerbach didn't give a damn about white, black, green, yellow. He didn't care. He cared about one thing, that was winning, putting the best product on the table. And I think that's all we want as athletes, as people. As Martin Luther King said, it's not the content of something about character and the color of my skin. Yeah.
Not the color of my skin, it's the content of judge me by the content of my character, not the color of my skin. Yeah.
And that's all we want as people, to be judged in that way. When you meet people, I've met great white people. A lot of great white people meet great Black people. And you get an understanding of people. But then all of a sudden, you'll get that one Black, or you'll get that one white, and they'll give you a whole nother look of what race relationships are to them.
Wish your team could find some next level talent? When your business needs someone with the right skills fast, you need Indeed. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it makes hiring all in one place so easy, because Indeed helps star applicants to shine with over 135 assessment tests from cooking to coding. Indeed investments help take the stress out of the hiring process. Your candidates get to prove themselves before the interview, and you can dive deeper into talking about what's important to you. With Indeed assessments, you can select for the skills that matter to you most. Add from a selection of over 100 hard and soft skill tests to your job post and hone in on the candidates with the right skills faster. Indeed assessments can give you a window into how candidates will be on the job. On average, applicants who have scored highly proficient or higher on their reliability assessment were nearly 8 times more likely to consistently attend work, according to Indeed data. Even better, Indeed's the only job site where you can pay for applicants that meet your must-have requirements. Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring partner. delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to CLNS in 2019. Join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start now with the $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/Maxwell. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/Maxwell. That's Indeed.com/Maxwell. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Actually, 1984, just bought a brand new Mercedes convertible, and I'm leaving the gym.
Young Max. Okay.
Put the top down. I'm riding down the street in Charlotte called Independence, and traffic's a little slow in this one area. And as I'm coming up, I'm the next car, and I see there was a gentleman who had a hood on, Ku Klux Klan, handing out flyers.
What? I thought you meant like a hood, like a top.
I was the next car up. And when he looked at me like, what the fuck is this? Where did he get this car from? And I looked at him like, duh.
That's right.
So yeah, those situations are still in my lifetime. And I'm talking about 1984, but we can just say most recently, wasn't it in Boston where they had the Proud Boys, or who was that in Boston? There's a bunch of people who came through Boston, through City Hall, or was on the train, all hooded up and with masks over their heads. So let's not think that it just happens here and it's gone. It's still alive. It's still alive and well, and I think that's why I'm so proud of who Bill Russell was as a person. And I'm proud of him as a basketball player, but more proud who he was as a person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought up that MLK quote, because I think it's spot on when you think about when you see diversity in sports and how it just doesn't matter, right? I mean, you get to know people, you get to know your teammates, you get to know who they are on the court, off the court, you're traveling together. And all of a sudden you realize, well, wait a minute, this guy's just like me. He wants the same things in life, enjoys life the same way. To judge someone by the content of the character, to really get to know somebody before saying, oh, wait, I don't like that guy from the moment I see the color of his skin, and I think that's what has a lot to do. And I'm sure you can relate to this too, Matt. What you see in sports, that sort of unity and how, two different people, completely different people can find common ground, not just in a sport, but in life, and I think that's spot on.
Well, you talk about that, and I think we all have biases which are out there, and we're all ignorant to the fact. I've told the story many times about the great Larry Bird, the first time I played him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Cedric Maxwell was the best black player in the world at that time for the Boston Celtics, averaging 20 and 10. And Larry Bird walked on the court.
Larry pulled up.
I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So I'm still the king of the mountain. I'm not getting off the mountain without a fight. And so, me and Larry go heads up for a couple of practices. And, I'm busting his ass, but equally, he's busting my ass too, on his end of the floor. And I remember after
don't sleep on that dude from French Lick. All right.
Yeah, I remember, and I've told the story many times before, but I remember right after that first practice, I walked up to the first black person I could see, one of my teammates, and say, you know what? That fucking white guy can play right there. But it was my ignorance based on who he was, the color of his skin, is how I was judging him. So we've all had our biases, but then sometimes we get those rude awakenings like I did with young Mr. Bird and who he was. And I remember many players after that, the first thing they'd say was, yo, man, Cornbread, how's that Bird kid? I said, you'll find out pretty soon. So, yeah, that was there.
My favorite part of that story is that you had to find a black person to tell, right? Let me find someone.
Had to. But see, it wasn't hard at the time because, our team.
You should have been like, for the record.
Our team was full of black players at that time with the Celtics, but I just remembered that, being so clear, like I couldn't wait to get off the floor and, walk into a person of color who had been on the floor with me, and we just locked eyes, and I'm like, yep, that happened. That did happen.
All right, Max. Let's transition to this Kevin Durant stuff, and I'm just gonna flat out ask you, man: is this gonna even happen? Are you over it at this point? It's been a couple of weeks now. Is it one of those like we still have to wait and see, or is it one of those that if it was going to happen, it would have happened already? Like, which one is it? You call it. You tell me.
You know what? I don't know because.
And then we'll get into the reports.
I remember when I got traded for Bill Walton, and they started talking about that at the end of the season. And it didn't happen until maybe late August that I actually got traded for Bill Walton going out to the.
Hold on. They were talking about trading you in general, or they were talking about that trade specifically right after the season?
And once I got hurt in 1985, they started talking about at that time. Kevin started playing great, and I understood that. And they wanted to, just solidify that spot for him. And I understood that. And it started from the beginning. I remember being in the locker room that day, and we all talked about it after we lost to the Lakers. Myself, ML Carr, and Quinn Buckner were all in the locker room. We were all in the equipment room, and we were all shedding tears because we knew that the era had gone. And I said, I probably won't be here. But it took from June until late August by the time I got traded. Now, will it happen? Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. I think that here's the thing about it. The Celtics are not the desperate team. Mm-hmm. And right now, Brooklyn, the more you think about it, Brooklyn is getting more pressure on them because you don't want to go into the season having your best player saying, I don't want to be here. What he said or reportedly said that it's me. Or he told the owner, he went to, I want to say London, and spoke to the owner of the team or the governor of the team.
Josue, this is from the Athletic, couple of outlets. But yeah, Josue.
Yeah, and told him, look, you either fire Steve Nash and Sean Marks, the general manager.
Both of them.
Or I don't want to be here. And reportedly, it came out that the owner, the governor of the team of the Nets said, look, I am completely behind our coaches and our management. So now you're pushing yourself more into a corner. And so it has to happen. And what's the best prospect out there? Everybody keeps saying this one person is Jaylen Brown is the linchpin. And I love Jaylen Brown. Absolutely. I've talked about Jaylen Brown over and over again as one of my favorite players. But if a trade was to happen, I would be thinking like, yep, that was a good trade. Because Red Auerbach said it best, you cannot fall in love with the assets or the players. What can make your team better? And Kevin Durant, and this is the big thing that nobody's thinking about. Kevin Durant, if he came to Boston, he'd be coming to Boston on the pretty much the same plane as Kevin Garnett once he got here, still having that much in the tank. And so I think that if I'm the Celtics and if you're Brad Stevens, do you want to roll those dice? And I think that's the question that comes to mind. Are you willing to roll the dice? If I'm them, you're asking me, them dice are already rolled. I mean, I want to keep Marcus, but if Jaylen and Jaylen shouldn't. Everybody keeps saying, oh, my Jaylen, his feelings are going to be hurt because his name was mentioned in trades. Dude, we're talking about one of the best players right now in the world that they're talking about being behind your name of making a trade. And remember one time before it was Tatum's name was brought up when they started talking about New Orleans and Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis would have told the Celtics, I'm committed to a long-term deal, Jason Tatum would have been gone. Jason Tatum would have been down in New Orleans. But because Anthony Davis said, I don't want a long-term deal. I'm going to be a rental wherever I go. The Celtics didn't make that move. And I talked to Tatum about that. I said, his dad came to me and I was on air one time and talked about it. I said, yeah, I'd make that trade. And his dad came to me and said, I heard what you said, son, you traded him. And I said, and he looked at me, looked to the side and said, I'd make that deal too. And then I talked to Tatum later on, and Tatum said the same thing to me. He said, if my name is mentioned for one of the best players right now in the world and they can make a trade, I would make that trade too. So I will hope that Jaylen would understand one thing. And this is all about business. At the end of the day, my brother, it's all about business. Don't take it personal. It's all about business. And a lot of great players have moved on to other places. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you're telling me right now, I had an opportunity to go out and get Kevin Durant, I make that move.
I think that's exactly how Jaylen has to look at it too, right? He has to look at it as like, one, it's a business. Your name's going to float out there. And two, hey, that's a compliment, right? If I'm the centerpiece of the deal, and I'm not just a centerpiece for a proposed offer from the Celtics, but the centerpiece of all centerpieces that we've been hearing throughout, right? Whether it's the teams like the Toronto Raptors, the Miami Heat, no other player being mentioned is as good as Jaylen. Like, this is
go on. I'm gonna get up. Go on. I'm still listening.
You still listening to what you want to?
I had to get some water. That was all.
But I'm glad you brought up Marcus Smart, because here's the report out of SNY's Ian Begley that I think it speaks volumes for what the Nets are in this situation, right? And that report is Kevin Durant saying that he would love, if he were to be traded to Boston, to play with Marcus Smart. Now, what I mean by that is, I think this is a good thing for the Nets, because it gets all the other teams thinking, let's ante up our offer. You know what? Let's throw in an extra piece in there. So if they can't pry Marcus Smart from Boston, let's show them what we got. Let's show them our card. Let's just go all out and see if we can put together the package deal. Whatever it takes, right? I just think all of this is leverage for the Brooklyn Nets, for them to field in through, comb through the offers, the best that they can get. And right now, with this report of them meeting, this meeting between them and Kevin Durant and going the way it is, and they're saying, look, we're sticking to our guns and we'll trade you if we have to trade you. That only makes them more excited, right? Other teams that are drooling over Kevin Durant, Toronto Raptors or the Miami Heat or possibly the Philadelphia 76ers in a new report. That's what this is about. I don't think it's about the Celtics.
What is this thing you're on? Are you on something called Garden Report, or what is it called? Garden?
I am. That's one of my...
What do they call it? Garden Report?
The Garden Report is one of my platforms, yes.
Garden Report is one of your platforms. And here's the thing, to everybody who was up there, this is what really got me. Hold on, let me get my demonstration here. Who's crying? Who's crying the Garden Report? I love it. Jaylen, his feelings, they might be hurt. And I just feel so bad. They could. Then, how is he going to take this?
He's not going to play well. Yeah, he's going to hurt his feelings.
Look, he's going to take it as a grown damn man. That's where he's going to take it. And that's what this league is about. He's not a little kid. He's been in this league.
In high school.
He's seen guys get traded, but I love the guys on the Garden Report because, oh my God, his feelings might get hurt. And are we thinking about, his feelings could get hurt, so he might be going someplace else later on? That's just the way it is. This is about sports anymore. It's about movement of players making demands, getting contracts. The Celtics are in a great position. They have Marcus Smart with a long-term deal. They have Tatum right now. They have Brown right now. They have the Time Lord right now. They have all
Marcus
these guys.
Just got it. Marcus' new contract just started.
They have their assets right now that are movable pieces. They did a great job. Danny Ainge did a pretty good job. Brad Stevens did a great job of signing these guys to long-term deals and deals that can be worked and moved around. So if you know anything about the game, don't feel that bad. I mean, the Garden Report guys, I love you. You're my brothers in arms. But man, come on, get off the pot. When you're going to the potty, you got to use it. Either get in there shit or get off the pot. That's what they'll say.
That's where that saying comes from.
The Garden Report. And I'm telling all my guys on the Garden Report exactly that. It's like, poor Jaylen. Can't we think about how his feelings might be? And I'm looking at these guys, and I happened to see one of the shows that they had on. I'm like, are we serious here? That we're talking about a guy's feelings now and what he might think, and because his name was mentioned in a trade, that he could be so small. And this is, you think about Jaylen. Jaylen Brown is very intelligent. super intelligent. You think of some of the things he said and his stances about Black Lives Matter, and you listen to him talk, very analytical. If he can understand that your name is mentioned, could be mentioned in trading one of the best players right now in the world to your franchise for you, then you're not the person I thought you were.
Mm. Yeah, and you look at it. You want me to get his career. You want me to go back? No, you don't need to do demonstration. No, we're good. Listen, I'm with you, Max. You look at his career up until this point. He gets better and better every single year. He fixes something about his game every single season. And now this year, going into this new season, my only thing is that the handles, limit the turnovers. Man, I want to see this guy, whatever it takes, the pull workouts, the balance workout, whatever it takes for him to take care of that basketball this upcoming season. I'm excited to see it. But that's my prediction. He's going to get better. He gets better every year. So he'll take this in stride.
But that's why they're talking in those terms of who they want to get. They want to get somebody back who is a potential all-star. And mind you, I was the same kind of person that sat around when Al Jefferson, people like, who? Al Jefferson. Well, Al Jefferson at one time
played him up, guys.
And was
the youngins watching.
I think his second year in the league, was just dynamic in the post. Could score on anybody. It was like just you could see him going to that next level. Myself
back to the basket too. Old school.
We all talked about it. We like, oh my God, this kid is. And then all of a sudden you hear these rumors about getting Kevin Durant, getting Kevin Garnett, getting Kevin Durant. And I'm like, come on, man, you can't trade an up and coming star like that for a guy who's a great player, but still right now can look over the hill. Well,
see, hold on, Max. You were saying that, and I was teenage me was like, what was I saying? I was like, Minnesota would never do that. I just didn't see it. It was too big. We've never seen it. Like, Minnesota's not going to do that.
But you didn't think that Minnesota would give up. It was a bunch of players who turned out.
And exactly, I'm thinking 2 or 3 players. I didn't expect 7 players.
Seven players.
That was unheard of at the time.
For Kevin Garnett and draft picks, you think like, that can't happen. You can't give up. And then you see Kevin Garnett in the first game he played, and you're going,
oh man.
Oh boy. And then and this is one way I have to give my broadcast partner, Sean Grandy, his props. Sean Grandy was on the train of, you got to get this guy. But Sean Grandy had been on the microphone. And
he was in Minnesota.
Yeah, in Minnesota, right? for the big tickets is coming out years and seeing who he was. And he couldn't have been more true. And I hate to give him credit like that for that particular statement with that guy. And could this be the same thing? It's a possibility. Again, we're talking about, I know it's apples and oranges, but you're still talking.
I'm glad you said that.
Kevin Durant, who is averaging right now about 30 points a game. 30. Right. On a good day, on a really good day, he's gonna give you 40, and he's a guy that if you need a bucket, you go with that guy in the clutch, man, and you can see what he does when you think he essentially had to carry that team in Brooklyn. And then this year, I think he was just really disgusted the way things had gone down with Kyrie, and I think he was affected in that way. And you see how it is when he's right now talking about trade demands and wanted to be out of Brooklyn. The only thing that bothers him to me is the fact this is the same guy who was on a dynasty in Golden State. A dynasty.
They could have like 5 chips by now.
A dynasty. He did. Dude, if you don't leave there, you're on I don't think you're gonna be Russell-like and winning 8 in a row. But you're rolling right now.
Yeah.
They
would have won in the bubble. I'll tell you that much, Max. They won in the bubble.
Dude, that dude was a machine. Kevin Durant was a machine. Now, he's had a couple of years where he's got hurt. He's had some Achilles issues, stuff like that. But he had Achilles issues and came back this year and dropped 30. I watched him during a summer league, and yeah, obviously it was a summer league pickup game. He was playing against other NBA players. And what you look for, what players look for, are tendencies of what this guy has in the tank. It's like boxers say, okay, Mike Tyson at the end, he was a one-punch guy. That was it. Kevin Durant's not like that. Kevin Durant still has a left, he has a right, he has a hook, he has a sidestep, and on top of that, he's 7 feet tall, a good rebounder, and has become, I don't want to say it out loud, but he's become a really good defender as he's gotten older, and some of the shot blocks he's had. I just love the one line he gave, and I'll let you go, but I love the line that he gave out to, when he was playing out west, and it was, I think Patrick Beverly was guarding him, and Pat Beverly, always wants to get up and bully people around and get into their body and try to intimidate them. Kevin Durant scored on him and kept scoring on him. And Kevin Durant, finally, reporters were talking to him. He said, told the reporters, you guys know who I am, don't you? I'm Kevin Durant. And Pat Bev later on, and went to Pat Bev later on, and Pat Bev said, you heard what he said. He's Kevin Durant. So players know players.
Right.
Trust me, I still know that this dude right now has a lot in the tank. And boy, Brad, I'm telling you, you don't, my blessings don't count at all. But boy, I sure would love for you to swing for the fences.
Yeah, but Mac, I think we can both agree in terms of the caliber player. We're talking about Kevin Garnett and Kevin Durant. Yes, the stage of their career, I'm with you on that. This is ideal. I mean, you could compare the two in the sense of where they are in their career. Mm-hmm. However, the impact is different though. Okay, Garnett, that's a culture-changing guy. That's a guy who's going to hold people accountable to a different level. I don't see Durant as that guy. I don't. And I'm not saying that the Celtics need him to be that guy or that they need someone like that, but I just think the influence is a little different. It's a little different. And also, I don't see, if this were to happen, a straight-up move with a bunch of picks. I don't see, okay, you take Jaylen, we'll give you 4 first-round picks, and you give us Kevin Durant. I just don't see that happening. So then where do the Celtics fall in this sweepstakes, so to speak, right? Like, how do you put together a package deal with Jaylen as your centerpiece?
Well, you might have to give up another piece. Do you give up a Derek White? Would you give up Derek White and Brown and 4 or 5 picks?
The offer that they put up, yeah, I would do that. Well, it was only one or a couple of first round picks, but that's not going to be enough. Brooklyn wants more. I just think that's
but here's
that's the part.
There's going to be a point where Brooklyn is going to have to start looking at things. And as the season gets closer, they're going to become more desperate in trying to make some kind of move. This is your best deal right now on the table. You give me another deal out there that you've heard of that has been better than this. Give me another deal.
Philly, not better, but the Philly deal. Who Philly got? What did they want from Philly that Brooklyn want? What? Let me hear this deal. Their entire future, Max. That's what they want. They want Philly's entire future.
Okay, but you gotta get back a player someplace in there. It has to be.
Well, yeah, it would be Maxey. It would be Thibault. It would be.
So wait a minute.
All the other pieces.
Thibault and Maxey, and you're talking about Jaylen Brown.
I'm not saying that's a better package deal, but I'm saying there's other pieces.
Give me a better package deal that you see that is out there that you're going, I can see them swing for that. I don't see Philly making that kind of deal. Why would you? If you're Philly, why would you?
You don't think Doc would do that? You don't think Doc would do it? I think he consider it.
Oh, Doc would do it, but if right now, if you're in New Jersey,
Brooklyn,
if you're Brooklyn right now, and you had those 2 deals on the table, which one were you been more likely to take? I mean, Brown is at about 25, 26 million a year. Derek White is maybe around about 12 to 14 million a year. So that's 39 million. So the player for player swap.
You match it right there. Yeah.
Kind of comes in there. Now, you want my draft picks. What have my draft picks been for the last couple of years? 14, 15, 16. What's the highest one that you've had in a long time? Is it Marcus? Marcus was one of the last highest. You had Tatum, obviously.
No. Well, Tatum and Brown, but after that, yeah.
But I'm saying after that,
Romeo is like 20 something.
Most of the times the Celtics have picked, it's been 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, someplace in there. You want those picks? Philly, Brooklyn, knock yourself out. Take them both of them. I don't care. Take those picks. What are they going to be? They're not going to be a top 10 pick. You're not going to get that. Celtics aren't going to be that bad. So if you're the Celtics right now, you take those picks. Take those picks and call me in the morning. You know the old commercial doctor used to have? Take these 2 pills and call me in the morning. So if I'm Brooklyn right now, Brooklyn is going to be in a point where they're going to be squeezed. They're going to be squeezed. And the closer it gets to the season, the more angst and the more pressure is going to be on them to make a deal. And I don't see, and I haven't heard of another team giving them that kind of deal that, you can make those kind of trades and move from there. I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard of it. Normally you hear like something, and I saw him I saw him with Philly. I'm like, how does Philly do that with the players that they have?
Yeah.
Do you want Tobias Harris? Is that what you want?
He'd be in there.
Do you want Tobias Harris? So Tobias Harris,
he wouldn't be our piece, but
you want Tobias Harris, or would you rather have Brown? Which one you want?
I mean, look, it's like I said at the top, man. Like, no, that's the thing. He's the best. He's the best player that's been on the table.
Stop right now. Who do you want? Tell me right now. Look at the camera and tell me who you want. You want Brown or you want Tobias Harris?
Brown, man.
Okay, well that again.
But if you're bossy, you don't have to make that deal. You don't have to. That's the thing. Brooklyn needs to make this trade. Brooklyn needs to trade Durant more than the Celtics need Durant. If that makes sense.
Who are you going to? Again, if you are the Celtics right now, who else can you pony up for that trade? Who else?
If you're the who?
If you're the Celtics right now, who else can you pony up?
What do you mean, in addition to Brown or without Brown?
I know. Even if you're saying if you took Brown out of the scenario, who else could you get? If you're Brooklyn right now, if you're the Celtics, who would you offer? Who else can you offer? You take Brown out of the scenario.
Oh, there's no deal. There's no way you make the trade without Brown. Yeah. But my point is the Celtics aren't in a position where if they don't get Durant, then, man, the chances of them winning the title doesn't look good. You know what I mean? Whereas the Brooklyn Nets, they don't know what next season's going to look like if they don't trade this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he would sit out, but you're not going to let him walk. I mean, you're not going to let him, continue to ask for trades over and over. It's just a big distraction.
I think you're underestimating again what Durant brings to the table. He clearly makes you a better team if you have him on your squad. I think he makes Tatum a better player if Tatum is playing with him, because just of a learning curve of who he is as a player. I think that he would be willing to take a back seat and come in and say, Tatum, this is still your team. But if need be, guess what? I can come in and I can be a 2-time NBA finalist. 2 times, not once. You think that Steph Curry was there. Steph Curry was there. Thompson was there. All these guys were there. But who was the finals MVP? Everybody still said it was still whose team? Still Steph's team. But Kevin Durant is like that, I'm sure you've never done it. Maybe some of your friends have done it. But you know how you walk by and you always wanted to pull that thing, that fire alarm. You look at it looks so appealing, like, man, if I break that thing, and I start.
Yeah, what makes you think I never did that before, Max?
He's that fire alarm. What's that? What'd you say?
What makes you think I never did that before?
Wow.
I was a wild kid, but go on. I was a wild kid, but go on.
I was trying to give you props. I know you look. And see, let me say why I know you didn't do it. You were Mecco kids. You didn't do that. Okay? You were a kid.
I would have been the first kid they had.
From the inner city, you're a kid from the inner city, and to pull a fire alarm, they were already looking at you half cocked anyway. That's the last thing you wanted to give them an opportunity.
Where's that Josue kid?
I remember you telling me the story, Josue, how one of your teachers didn't think you spoke English. Would you like to follow?
No, Max. It was worse than that. They put me in ESL. All right. They put me on ESL. All right. Yeah. That's one of the first episodes we did. That's hilarious. Yes.
Yeah.
And my parents walked into the meeting was like, my parents are like, this kid barely knows Spanish, man. What you mean? Yes, he knows English. Take him out of ESL. What's wrong with you? Oh man, you just took me back.
So again, I look at you. I know you wouldn't do anything like that. But
what up, Needham?
But that's what I'm talking about when I talk about Durant and who he is and his ability to. Everybody said, "Well, he's not Kevin Garnett." No, that's not the way he rolls. But he is that. He's that gunfighter that comes to town. At the end of the day, you need.
I'm with you, Max. I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, he's washed.
Josue, you need the town cleaned up. Get a gun, get the 6 gun to the sheriff right now. Let's see how he's gonna clean this town up. So he is not washed. And if you know basketball, you can see how and here's another thing that people should also look at: the fact that Ime coached him. And Ime has a great relationship. Oh yeah,
there's a relationship there.
That's the other thing that people aren't talking about. You know, and see the thing I think that he loves Ime. He loves Ime. He has no respect at all for Steve Nash. None. Although Kyrie said we don't. Remember Kyrie said we don't need no coach. We don't need a coach. Hello.
Nash in there like.
Yeah, we don't even need a coach. Steve Nash coming in like and yeah, I think Steve Nash. I looked at him. I think that he got himself taken to the woodshed.
He doesn't make things easy on himself either, Max. You see him a month ago? I gotta send you this video. Like a month ago when all this was happening, he's making some TikTok video with this kid or something. Look, it was cute. You know, he's dancing or whatever with this kid, and it's nice, but it's like, I don't think this is the right time, Steve. You know, your team's in shambles right now, and this is what you're doing.
Steve, right now, the house is on fire, and here's a TikTok video of you drinking water. Not the way to go. Not a good look that you want to have. So you're saying all the right things, but this is the other piece that people don't look at. Is the fact that Ime coached this dude. And Ime has a personal relationship with this dude. And Ime, what we saw was Ime this year, the thing that we loved about Ime was he was not afraid to call his players out. If they were wrong, he didn't do this thing going, well, it's not their fault. No, Ime said, damn it, that's what we told them not to do. And they did it anyway. He wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid to push him out there in the middle of the pool and said, "Damn it, you go ahead and swim." And that's one thing that I really loved about Ime, and that's the relationship that I don't think people look at, which would be the groundwork for Kevin Durant coming to Boston.
Durant. How does a team like the Toronto Raptors not in the mix here more? I mean, you're hearing reports about them, and it looks like the deal breaker is Scotty Barnes, and you don't roll the dice with that, especially when you look at the team that they are. They did the one and done with Kawhi Leonard. How'd that work out? This guy's Kevin Durant's under contract for 4 years. How are you not tempted enough to just agree with whatever Brooklyn wants? I mean, you just go from there. You got OG, obviously OG, Scotty. You know, Gary Trent. I mean, you wouldn't have a whole lot left over, but it's enough that I'm willing to roll the dice if I'm a team like the Toronto Raptors, just to get back into the mix, just to get back into contention. I'm doing this deal.
That's one of the teams that I would say that you're mentioning right now. that would maybe have some of those pieces if I was Brooklyn that I would want to explore them as well as the Celtics. I really want to explore them. So anyway, but though I don't see too many, but yes, Scotty, if I said I got to give up Scotty Barnes,
OG,
OG, maybe
Gary Trent. Yeah, one of those guards, Gary Trent Jr.
Dude, I would say, you're going to have to get I'd be telling those dudes right now, your passport has changed now. Your passport right now, you can go right now to the U.S. because that's where you're going to be. Kevin Durant, make sure you double vaccinated and all those things. Right now, you're on your way to Toronto. So, yeah, I agree. That would be one of those things I would definitely look at as a player.
All right, before we get out of here, Max, what are the chances this team just runs it back? Like, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, just roll the dice, run it back.
Brooklyn Nets, there's no way.
Coach.
No, there's no way. There's no way if you're Brooklyn, you run it back. There's no way. Because you can't have your best player goes into look at it like this. Your best player goes into the first game of the season playing with Brooklyn. And what is your fan base going to do? They're going to boo him? Is it going to get better? I want out of here? What is your fan base going to do?
It might be split. Some boos.
Well, I mean, you're not looking. Split isn't something you look for when you are a great player playing on a team.
At home.
No. At home. No. You right. That's one of the things that I look at. If you were that Celtics could run theirs back. And I think everybody they'd be okay. They'd be happy. Okay, let's run this thing back. You got an opportunity. You still, you went out and got a couple other pieces. You got Brogdon. Brogdon makes you a better team.
Absolutely.
From a point guard, handling the basketball in those situations. But the reason you lost in the finals wasn't your defense. It was your offense. It was your offense. You held Golden State many times to 90-something points a game, to 97, 98, 101. It was your offense which failed you. And it put so much pressure on Tatum that, that other gunslinger had to be there. So,
right. No question. Yeah, that's true. All right, well, we'll see what happens.
This thing up, my man.
And one last thing, Max. Hold on, real quick.
Okay.
So, Grant Williams hosted a basketball camp Friday. He spoke to the media, and he finally said a few words. He said the things that I wanted to hear one of Jaylen Brown's teammates say, and that's, I've spoken to Jaylen. We're constantly talking, and I'm telling him that we got his back no matter what. I'm like, thank you, Grant. That's exactly what I think could help mend this sort of for the people out there afraid that Jaylen Brown's getting his feelings hurt. I mean, listen, I don't believe in that at all. But my whole thing is, when is someone going to speak up and say, "Nah, man, that's our guy"?
Well, you know what? That's a great point. That's a great point you're making, because when I got traded, and I can think back on it, I never heard from any of my teammates.
Or even during the rumors, right?
I got traded. I didn't hear from one person like saying good luck. We enjoyed having you. I didn't hear from not a teammate. Now, obviously, it was a different time, but I still have the telephone, but nobody ever called me. So I definitely look at it as one of those things where you say, okay, if you are, and you think Grant's always been a thinker anyway. And so, reaching out like that and saying, we still got his back. So how do you have his back? What's his back? I'll ask you, what the hell is that? What the hell does that mean? I got your back. What's your back out?
I'm not voting for this trade. I'm not voting for this trade.
No, he didn't say that.
Yeah, no, I know.
I got your back. We got your back. You got your back how? In what way? What way you got my? You don't make trades. It can't be done. You're saying you got my back. How do you have my back? I'll ask you.
I think it's his way of saying, I don't want this to happen. Don't think I'm one of those people who's hoping this happens.
That. Just say, I don't want it to happen. Don't tell me this about, well, I got your back. Got your back doing what? You got my back door.
Max is like, so you get traded, you coming with me? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, whatever you want, however you want to put it, it has to be a whole nother way. So, hey, we'll end the Cedric Maxwell podcast with that. And again, want you guys to subscribe and click that notification button because we only become stronger with you and who you are. I got my buddy here, Tyrone Scott, just walked in, my frat brother. He's here looking at me.
Oh, man, you about to have a good night.
Fred up in the damn house. And Kim was up here. She hollering at me too. So Yolanda's upstairs. So I got the whole crew right now waiting.
What is it? Fellow Omega? What is it?
Yeah, Fellow Omega is up in the house.
Okay.
So we're gonna do it right, one of the last days here, ending up the summer. So anyway, holler at you later.
Enjoy it, Max. We'll see you guys next week, of course. Max, coming from North Carolina. We'll be back with a brand new episode next week.
What do we do before we finish? How do we keep it?
Oh, we keep it on 100.
Keep it on the 100. Keep it on the damn 100. That's how we do.
We definitely did on this episode.
All right, brother. Take it easy.